Dear Lieutenant General Aliyu, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to this year's Abuja Forum. Prior commitments kept me from joining you there, but I want to congratulate the teams from Gusau Institute and Zhejiang Normal University for putting together this exciting dialogue. It goes to the heart of ongoing shifts in the global economy and of opportunities to build a more prosperous, more resilient future for people in Nigeria, the rest of Africa, China, and beyond. These are difficult times for the global trading system, which is facing the biggest disruption since the Second World War. The international economic architecture that enabled decades of trade-led growth in many developing countries, most spectacularly China, is under strain. Yet focusing only on the latest news headlines from around the world would give you an incomplete picture of what is really happening in world trade. Most countries continue to trade with each other on more or less normal terms. 72% of global goods trade continues to operate on core WTO most favored nation tariff terms. Many governments have responded to the current trade tensions by reinvigorating bilateral and regional trade integration efforts. This gathering, with its focus on forging closer commercial and other ties between Africa and China, goes in that direction. South-South trade has expanded its share from under a tenth of total global goods trade in 1995 to about a quarter today. For context, the US accounts for 13% of world trade. The WTO's back-of-the-envelope calculations suggests the trend is continuing. In the first half of 2025, South-South trade grew 8% year-on-year in value terms. Africa, however, has a great deal of ground to make up. The continent accounts for less than 3% of global goods trade and an even lower share of services trade. Last year, Nigeria accounted for just 0.23% of global goods trade. Africa's exports are overwhelmingly resource-based and commodity-driven, with limited value addition. Nigeria's trade with China is a case in point, with an export basket dominated by oil and minerals, with only a tiny sliver of value-added chemicals, plastics, and animal or vegetable fats and oils. I firmly believe that the current trade disruptions have created a window of opportunity for the continent to increase its footprint in value addition and trade, and that Chinese trade and investment stand to benefit from helping Africa seize this opportunity. As countries and companies around the world seek to diversify supply chains to manage risks and reduce exposure to natural disasters and other potential shocks, Africa can attract investment in value-added activities and move from the margins to the mainstream of the global division of labor, part of what we at the WTO call re-globalization. Justin Lin, former chief economist at the World Bank, former colleague of mine, and now back at Peking University, has described how labor-intensive activities like textile production have always moved as countries grow richer and move up the value chain. That is happening in China now, and there is no reason why more of these flying geese cannot land in Africa. Some mega trends also work in Africa's favor. On an aging planet, Africa's young populations represent the workforce, skills base, and markets of the future. The UN projects that the continent's population will reach 2.5 billion by 2050, over a quarter of the world's total, and nearly as much of the working age population. Africa also has the arable land and the critical minerals the world needs. Realizing this potential requires action to tackle obstacles holding back the continent's re-globalization and growth prospects. These include some of the world's highest trade costs. WTO economists estimate that Africa's trade costs for agricultural goods are 16% higher than the average for the rest of the world. For manufactured products, it's 37% higher. Intra-regional trade costs in Africa are 20% more than those for trade with external partners, underscoring the need to accelerate the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, together with its transport corridors. The China-Africa Cooperation Vision 2035 goes in precisely these directions, with its call for deeper collaboration in infrastructure, agriculture, energy, technology, and trade. China has an opportunity to lead on investing in African value chain development and enabling African economies to move up the ladder. China's government has already taken an important step with this summer's announcement that it would offer duty-free access to exports from African countries. Chinese businesses can help unlock Africa's productive potential by drawing on their own experiences with catch-up growth to support industrial parks, agro-processing zones, and renewable energy projects. By investing in capacity and transferring technology and know-how, they can help raise productivity, create jobs, reduce poverty, and expand markets in which to deploy their capital and sell their own products. We already see signs of the win-win possibilities. Chinese firms investing in the Lekki and Ogun Guangdong free trade zones, as well as in private industrial parks, speak to a broader view of Nigeria and Africa, not just as markets for finished goods, but as bases for production and export. The think tank Kemba Energy finds evidence for a solar energy takeoff in Africa, propelled by a 60% increase in solar panel imports from China in the year through June. More electricity will help industrial production and may even contribute to balance of payments improvements. Savings on diesel can repay the cost of a solar panel within 6 months in Nigeria. But we need to do much more. And we need leadership and boldness from public and private sector stakeholders in Africa and China. Fora like this will help build the bridge we need across continents and to a better future. Thank you all, and I wish you a very productive forum.